Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I want to do the mid-year book freakout tag. This is a tag I've done last year and it is among the very first videos I did for this channel. So I decided to do it again this year as it's I guess some sort of a tradition now. But I've seen this tag also done by many this year on BookTube. I'm so happy. I really love watching these videos and see how the reading has gone so far. Because we're halfway through this year, which is crazy. But let's just get into the questions, and this is gonna be, I hope, quite a short one because I'm boiling in here and I want to go to the beach a bit later on, so I want to finish this before that. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And I have to say my reading year has gone quite well. I'm over the halfway point of my reading goal on Goodreads, which was 70 books, so I'm pretty good. I think I could manage to finish up my year challenges for this year, especially the ones reading big books I have, because that hasn't been going so well so far. So now that I reached my halfway point, I can focus on reading maybe fewer books and bigger books. Anyway, that's just a side note. This has nothing to do with the first question. But the first question is, which is the best book you've read so far this year? And I will go for a book I read for Asian Readathon for that. And the second book I read for this author as of now, and it is Kazuo Ishiguro's The Remains of the Day. So last year I read Never Let Me Go, also for Asian Readathon. That also was like a heartbreaking, devastating book, but this somehow touched me more than that, because that one was a dystopian, futuristic setting and character-focused book, but this is a historical fiction in which we follow a butler who has been the butler like maybe between the two wars and after in the Great Britain, in one of the really great manor house for this aristocrat who has also been integral part in the country's politics. And this details the butler's life throughout this period, but it is told as like a remembering. He's going on this car journey to see a friend, and on that journey, it's like a 6-day, he goes and remembers parts of his history and the history of this great house, but also the history of the country. This was such a heartbreaking, devastating book. Oh my god, I think I cried. Kazuo Ishiguro is, I think, truly an amazing author, and his writing style is just so captivating. But this one, the narrative and the person who narrates it, Stevens the butler, is just so I don't know how else to say it, but heartbreaking. It's like really you connect to him and you understand him and you really like feel for him so much. It's like no wonder this book is on best books I've read lists for so many people, and this is a favorite of so many. I have another book of Kazuo Ishiguro out from the library, which is The Buried Giant. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But if that's also gonna be like a really heartbreaking one, I don't know how much of that I can take in such a short span of time. But if you haven't picked up The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, I urge you to do so. It is truly amazing. And the next question is, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? And actually I haven't read a lot of series this year, which is really surprising for me because I normally read a lot of fantasy. But if I want to mention one, maybe I can't mention one. I want to mention two. I read a whole series through Easter break, and it is a paranormal romance urban fantasy by Ilona Andrews. It is the Hidden Legacy series. And this is an overarching series, which is each trilogy is about one of the sisters, I think, in this family. It's really nice, action-packed, really well written. I really enjoyed it. So if you are looking for a comfort read and you like romance, fantasy, then I recommend that. But For this question, I will go with Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb, which is the last book in the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy in her overarching Realm of the Elderling series. I think there are like 9 or 12 books in this series, and I will definitely continue on with this series. The second trilogy follows a complete different set of characters and setting, so I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also sad that I'm leaving this trilogy and our main character, Fitz. I've seen a lot of people recommending this series and how, because they feel so attached to this main character. And this was a chunky book. I listened to it on Audible. I think it was like almost like 40 hours long. So I read it, it took me quite a while to read it because I was reading it on and off when I was cleaning, commuting and stuff like that. But it was always such a comfort to go back to him and continue on. I didn't need to read it in a long sitting or anything. It was just like going back to something really familiar and comforting. So I really loved it, and I felt quite sad when it ended because it felt like it was written in such way that I felt that it was like ending of this series. And if you don't know about this series, it follows Fitz, who is a bastard, but he has also magical powers, and he's living in this kingdom where like there are some ships coming in and invading them and turning the population into kind of like zombies and such. But there are also elderlings in this world, dragons, and Fitz is on a quest to find them, to help them battle these red ships, this enemy. He's also a very integral political figure in this realm, so there's a lot of things happening, a lot of great characters, and it's very well written. The only thing that I can fault it for is that it is a bit too repetitious, especially in this last book. I mean, it is also a long one, but there are a lot of things repeated again and again, which felt a bit unnecessary. But I think, as I said, for me it was also kind of a comfort read, so I didn't mind it that much, especially as I got into the book more like after the first few hours, I would say. So I would really recommend to read Robin Hobb's series, the Realm of the Elderling series, or just this first trilogy if you like great fantasy. This is more like a medieval fantasy setting, so it feels like almost like a classical fantasy in the way the world works. It's not heavily focused on magic either, so if you don't like too much magic in your books, then you might like this one as well. The next question is, what is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And for this I'm gonna stay in the realm of fantasy, and very predictably, I guess if you love fantasy, you know, I'm gonna go with Brandon Sanderson's Rhythm of War. This is the third book in the Stormlight Archive series, which is gonna be a 10-book series, and all of these books are over 1,000 pages long. And I have to say, I really love Brandon Sanderson, despite me not gelling with all of his books, because I think this series is like a true masterpiece. I love everything about it. The world is so complicated, the magic system is so intricate, there's so many great characters. So it's truly an enterprise to go into this book and read it. I think it's a true experience, and if you haven't picked it up yet, and you don't feel daunted by 1,000+ pages books, then I would urge you to get your hands on these, because they are really worth the read. The next question is about my biggest disappointment so far, and I actually don't have a lot of books I really disliked or being disappointed by. I think I have a lot of kind of average reads, but if I'm gonna say disappointed, that means that maybe I expected more of it, and yeah, I was disappointed, obviously. So for this, I'm gonna go with something I read at the very beginning of January, which is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, I think, if I'm pronouncing it right. This is a young adult fantasy, and it is about a love story between a witch and a witch hunter. And it is set in this, I think it feels like 18th century French-inspired fantasy world, which is a lot focused on the church and the church being the witch hunters basically, and then we have the witches on the other side, women who have to hide and are persecuted. So why I felt disappointed about this, I think it is disappointing for me because as most fantasy, young adult fantasy books, they are so hyped, and of course I'm not the target audience, and I admit, I mean, this book is not written for me, it's written for a much younger audience, but I have read a lot of great young adult fantasies which I loved, so I still pick them up every once in a while. And I picked this one up at the beginning of the year, and it was just not what I was expecting. I think it was a much cliched and too simple plot, and just not for me, I would say. What is the biggest surprise so far? And with this, I'm gonna mention again Ilona Andrews' Hidden Legacy series. I think it's just because I knew them to be romance books, and I just thought they're gonna be really smutty and really, like, you know, cheesy in the romance sense of a way, and they weren't at all, and I was quite surprised, and I think it shows because I binged the whole series. I think the next one of the second book of the second series in this overarching series comes out in August, so I'm definitely gonna pick that up. The next question is the new favorite author, and for this I'm gonna go with Jacqueline Woodson. I have read 2 of her books so far. I have read Another Brooklyn, and then recently I have read Harbor Me, and then I also bought Red at the Bone. I think this is her newest, so I'm gonna pick this one up very soon. But I think she is most known for Brown Girl Dreaming. So I love her writing style because she writes these really short books. Her writing is really poetic, very lyrical, and the prose, it's almost like poetry because there's this thick margins and a lot of breaks. So very short and concise, and she writes about very important topics. She's a US writer, so she writes about the experience of being black. In Another Brooklyn, she writes about growing up black in Brooklyn. In Harbor Me, she writes about 6 kids who come from different backgrounds, and they're kind of fallen back in school, so they are taken in this special class where they learn to be together, they learn accepting each other, knowing each other, and they learn about each other's backgrounds. So I think she really tackles really important topics in a really beautiful way. So if you haven't read anything by her, I recommend you to do so. I really loved Another Brooklyn. This is for kids, so maybe for a younger audience, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed it. I really loved Another Brooklyn, and then Red at the Bone is, I think, about a teen pregnancy, and it is about 2 kids also coming from very different social classes who are gonna have a kid and how they come together now because of that child. Question number 8 is what is your newest fictional crush? And I don't normally crush on my characters, but for this I think I'm gonna go with Connell from Normal People. I have read Sally Rooney's other book, Conversations with Friends, last year, and then not so long ago I have read Normal People, and I have started watching the series as well. And I mean, Connell, he's such a sweetheart. What's not to like about him? He's the perfect guy, I think. And I just wish him and Marianne would have just talked to each other throughout that book, and maybe things would have turned out much better, but that's just not how life is, I guess. So if you haven't picked up Normal People or have watched the series, please do so. The next question is about the newest favorite character, and I don't normally think about the books I read and the characters in them in terms of favorite or least favorite, but if I have to pick one, then I would go with Mbot from Brandon Sanderson's Skyward series. I have read the first book in the series Skyward, and I have just started the second, Starsight. And I think Mbot is just so great. Mbot is an AI, and he lives in this battleship. This is a young adult science fiction series. So it's pretty action-packed and funny, and yeah, just an interesting one. And I love Brandon Sanderson, so I'm happy that I really enjoyed this series because I have previously read his other young adult fantasy series I think Steelheart is the Reckoner series. I really did not like that one, but this is much better, and looking forward to seeing what Embod is getting up to in this second book. The next question is about which is the book that made you cry. And I think I remember this vividly. So I love Jane Austen retellings. So when I heard about this book, I think from several British channels, among which I think Jen Campbell, I knew that I have to pick this up. And this is The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow. This one is about Mary, which is, I think, many times the forgotten sister in the Bennet household. So if you know Pride and Prejudice, if you don't know Pride and Prejudice, you probably won't know about this, but I think most of us have at least watched a TV adaptation or a series. So I think it's amazing that Mary has gotten her own book now. And as I said, she's one of those figures which somehow always tend to fade into the background. We don't know much about her when we read Pride and Prejudice, so I'm happy she got her own book here. The first part is what made me cry, because we follow Mary from when she's a child, and in it we kind of get an explanation as to why she's so different from her sisters, why she's so bookish, why she shies away from everyone and kind of fades into the background, and it was just so heartbreaking. So I don't want to say a lot of things because I don't want to spoil it, but I was really crying, seriously. I couldn't put this down and I was crying, bawling my eyes out, seriously. And it doesn't happen so often with me. The second part is more like a romance. It follows some of the romance novels beats, and there are some tropes in there I did not like so much, and it was kind of really different from the first part. But I think the first part was so emotional because it was much more related to Pride and Prejudice, whereas the second part, we follow Mary after Pride and Prejudice ends. So I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. The next question is about books. What are the books that made me happy? And again, I'm really not sure how to understand this question, but I'm gonna go with books that made me feel upbeat and made me forget about the real world, escapist books, I would say. I think this is something I needed these past months, and I have read these when the pandemic really hit us here in Denmark, I think throughout March, April, and they are the two Sophie Kinsella books I read. I would go maybe more with Finding Audrey, because even though this was upbeat, it also tackled very important topics. It tackled anxiety and mental health issues, so it was really a great book to learn more about that as well. And the other book I read from her was My Not So Perfect Life, which I think was also kind of funny, upbeat, somewhat of a Devil Meets Prada type of a book, and the plot line, I would say. So I would just go for these because I normally don't read with the intent of being happy, even though it's good. These books made me chuckle, I guess, so I guess they fit the bill. So we're nearing the end here, and the penultimate question is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought this year so far? And I have two books for these, and the first one is Jane Austen's Mansfield Park. I really love these editions, and now I'm considering buying all of them because I didn't know how floppy these are. I think it's just so satisfying. They have these amazing covers, all of them different, and I just love how small and compact they are. So I haven't read The Mansfield Park by Jane Austen yet, so I think I'm gonna pick this up for Jane Austen July, happening next month. I'm pretty excited. And then I have one more book here because I can just pick one, and I'm gonna go with Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. I just love this cover. It's so beautiful with the gold details. This one is about Queenie, who is a 25-year-old Jamaican British living in London. And the blurb on Goodreads says that this is a mash between Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and the Bridget Jones Diaries. So I love both of those books, especially Americana. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this brings to the table. This is also said to be really funny, heartwarming read, so I'm looking forward to it. And the last question is, what are the books that you really have to get to until the end of the year? Now, there's nothing I really have to get to, but I would like to read these. I bought all of these recently, and I'm really excited to read them. All of these books are diverse books. I think all of these are also by Black authors, and they're tackling really important topics, especially now with everything that's happening in the US. I think we have to amplify Black voices. And it's really horrible what's happening there with the racism and what the police are doing. So for me, it is important to read diversely and educate myself. So I already mentioned two of these, and one of them is Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. Then I have Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. And then I also picked up Solomon Northup's 12 Years a Slave. This came out as a movie a few years ago, and it really, I think, revived the book a bit because I haven't heard about it before. It is a memoir of Solomon when he was kidnapped and sold as a slave in the South, and he spent 12 years as a slave there. It's truly horrific, seriously. I'm looking forward to getting into this. Then I have the winner of the Booker Prize in 2019, and I think this book is also won the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist, I believe, this year, and it is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. This one is a book following 12 different characters in the UK. These characters are mainly women and mainly Black, so I think it's a mash of their lives, their different experiences, and in that sense I believe it is similar a bit to Queenie, especially I would say in its themes. So I'm looking forward to getting to this one very soon. And the last one I have here physically is one I bought last week. I went to the bookshop in order to buy some books on race. I particularly wanted to buy non-fiction books. I could not find the ones I was looking for. I was looking for White Fragility and White Rage because I saw that a few people were reading it on BookTube, so I thought I'm going to join them, but as I said, I couldn't find them, so I have reserved them at the library, and I think they're going to come in the next couple of months. But I found one I actually had on my TBR, and it is When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir by Patrice Kahn-Cullors and Asha Bandele. I butchered those names, sorry. So as it says, this is a Black Lives Matter memoir, and it is about a single mother in an impoverished neighborhood in LA who experiences prejudice and persecution as a Black American from the law enforcement. And it says here that for Patrice, the most vulnerable people in the country are Black people subjected to unjustifiable racial profiling and police brutality. In 2013, when Trayvon Martin's killer went free, Patrice's outrage led her to co-found Black Lives Matter with Alicia Garza and Opal Tometi. Condemned as terrorists and as a threat to America, these loving women founded a hashtag and birthed the movement to demand accountability from the authorities who continually turn a blind eye to the injustices inflicted upon people of Black and brown skin. Campaigning human rights in the face of violent racism, Patrice transformed her personal pain into political power, giving voice to a people suffering inequality, and a movement fueled by her strength and love to tell the country and the world that Black lives matter. So, sorry for just reading the blurb in the back, but this is such an important book to read, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this and getting more information on the subject. I will also link in the description a video you can watch, which is only ads, but the money from those videos will be donated to important organizations which are now fighting for the Black Lives Matter movement in the US. So watch that if you have the time. I think it is important to contribute in any possible way we can. But these are all the books I want to get to before the end of the year, and probably many more. I never want to stick to a set TBR. It's just really hard for me, but I think these are the ones I'm gonna get to for sure. So these are all the questions and the answers I had for you today. I'm really happy that I've done this tag again. As I said, this is one I've done last year. I'm gonna link it somewhere for you if you want to go and watch it. It's just so interesting. I remember that last year I was really focused on the fantasy books, and I actually haven't read so many this year. Let me know what is your favorite book so far of the year. I think Kazuo Ishiguro's Remains of the Day is truly a modern classic, and it is definitely one that is gonna stand the test of time. I think he's just an amazing author, and I'm looking forward to reading The Buried Giant soon, which I have out from the library, and it's just so thick. Anyway, I'm just rambling now a lot, so I'm gonna stop. Thank you very much for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time. Goodbye.